loves. Hope you guys are doing wonderful. Welcome back to the Sapphire Spider Oracle channel. If it's your first time being here, thanks so much for checking it out. And of course, if you're a returning listener, I appreciate you being here. We are checking in for the second half of November and basically Thanksgiving week and then the last week that we have there. And I've got the Wonderland Tarot and I've got my Spirit Animal Oracle cards. And I've got some wonderful crystals in here for us today. So let's get started with your Animal Oracle. We just entered Sagittarius season, so of course y'all will be having birthdays soon. Ooh, there it is. Look at how loud it was too. Happy birthday to you, Sagittarius. All right, what's your Spirit Animal Oracle for this last half of November here? Wolf Spirit. Turn knowledge into wisdom. 67. 67 equals a number 13. To some people, that's an unlucky number. To some people, that's a lucky number. Depends on how you look at it. That's part of the wisdom coming through right here. Turn knowledge into wisdom. So knowledge is facts and logic and things like that, right? And wisdom is experience and things that you've learned through other things, right? Other means. You can have all the facts and data in the world, but that doesn't mean that you're wise if you're not utilizing that knowledge in a way that like better serves you or at least the people around you, right? That's part of a message coming off here. It's giving these little like feathery things off its face to me, like little, like big old eyelashes, like big old fake eyelashes a bit, like how they, like that. It's like old country music coming through on here, Sagittarius. There's quite a few things coming off of here. So there's like big old fake eyelashes for some reason coming off of this wolf. There's okay, it just said like interference. Like there's interference. Like you've got some other energies attached to you. That's why it's kind of wanting you to like clean off your aura. That's why it was like flapping the eyelashes at me a bit. So you gotta like clean off your aura a little bit. You're carrying interference energy on you from other outside people or things like that. There's things along those lines. I want your card to stay here. Oh, okay, hey. We'll start with those. Let's get into your tarot message and expand off of this. I have a feeling we'll tap back into that. It's kind of like done for now, so. A 10 of Swords. It just said when it's done, it's done. It's giving me all these flamingos. It's like squawking, like they're all standing around in a room just, it said talking shit. Like just like and the flamingos in Alice in Wonderland were definitely stubborn and like just wouldn't cooperate and things like that. So that's the general energy coming off of this card. They're walking all over this figure here. They're just definitely not cooperating for this person. It's a little bit of a gentler 10 of Swords from a normal deck, which usually has the person like stabbed in the back down to the ground. I'm not necessarily getting like the stabbed in the back feel off of this 10 of Swords, but it is like laid down, done, just like giving up, not even trying with all of these people anymore. And remember, this is a Swords too, so this is also your thoughts and your mind. You're mentally exhausted, like you're just, right? That's the whole thing. It said when it's done, it's done. Turn knowledge into wisdom. So if it's done, it's done. It's also kind of one of those things, if you've got 10 different thoughts and ideas, like your brain's going all over the place, you're clearly not making progress on the situation, like just let that be done. You're not getting anywhere with that, right? What's this? And a Seven of Swords. Hang on, let me sit with it. Interesting. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, there are in fact 7 flamingos in this card. There's usually something sneaky about a Seven of Swords. And that's where it showed me the tip of the sundial here in this garden, and then it showed me the beak of the flamingo, and it was implying that there is a flamingo hiding in this sundial. And a sundial is like a clock. You think of it as like a sun, like a boy, like a child, a sun. You think of the sun literally as like sun energy. We have sun cards in the tarot deck, which is usually happiness and everything. There's a lot of there's a lot of sneaky energy here coming off of this card, Sagittarius. It's like just very untrusting. Not sure if something's positive or negative. If there was a flamingo hiding in this sundial, is it a good or a bad surprise, right? Like and then that would be an Eight of Swords, which an Eight of Swords is feeling trapped and imprisoned and hopeless. So you almost don't want another flamingo hiding in there. But then at the same time, if there's not a flamingo hiding in there, then we're back to a Seven of Swords, which is back to, it's not always a sneaky energy. It's like there's a plan, there's a design, there's a plot. If it was in a movie scene, you could all, like the hero people could be making the plot to sneak in there and rescue people, or it could be the bad guy making a plot to sneak in and steal all the jewels, right? So there's so much like negative and positive connotation coming off of this card, and that's where with the sundial, it's like you're watching some time pass and trying to figure out and see how things are going. If this is really a sundial, or is there another flamingo hiding in here? And again, like I was saying, if it's like another flamingo, aka another sword, an Eight of Swords energy is very frozen and stagnant and all tied up in the mind too, and is not necessarily a positive energy. And I'm really catching that off the Seven of Swords. It's like it said you're at like a 7.5 swords. Like you're not quite at an Eight of Swords, but you're not quite at a Seven of Swords either. You got lots of swords energy. There's lots of mental energy here at this time. And I think it wants this stack of cards. Ace of Pentacles, I want some all. There's your Sagittarius Major Arcana card with the Temperance card. So a message did just come through, and it said, you can have everything that you want, but you're always looking for something more and leaving others empty-handed. That was just a sentence that came through very quickly for the passage that went through looking at these cards. but I want to spend more time on them individually and see how they're resonating kind of more on their own and how that builds. So with this Ace of Peppermills, which is an Ace of Wands, it showed me this little house, but then it was very much like this hand and this peppermill could come and crush this house. It just gave me Jack and the Beanstalk. I'll grind your bones to make my bread. There's, okay, woo, yeah, huge work message coming off of this. It's like grinding your bones to make your bread. People possibly at a work situation not cooperating or working with you. Kind of feeling like under people's thumb in a sense with this Ace of Peppermills. There's such a negative connotation coming off of this energy. And when I say negative today, it's not like nasty. It's just like there's definitely this, it's just a kind of like Debbie Downer vibe. This is a definitely more positive card, but there's still this vibe coming off of it of feeling crushed under the weight of work and mental stress, uncooperative people, things like that. And when you're feeling that kind of energy and stress and weight, it does feel like the daily grind, right? The grinder, like you're being put through the grinder a bit, the peppermill grinder. It just said you're being seasoned, though. You're being seasoned. And that's the whole thing, is sometimes we have to go through certain phases of life to turn wisdom, or turn knowledge into wisdom, learn the facts, see through illusions and mystery, especially if we don't know or understand something quite yet. This could be a sundial or it could be a trick. That was the whole vibe coming off of this. This could be something very pleasant because it's an Ace of Peppermills, but it also is being perceived as something very crushing and just throwing you through a grinder. So there is something here about perspective. And the way that you can interpret some of these cards. I'm an intuitive reader, and I'm also an empath, and so when I'm catching certain messages and feelings off the cards, that's where I just follow the message that way, and that's usually the vibe that I'm describing. So it's not that these cards can't be interpreted in other ways, it's just this is what I'm catching off of it. With this Ten of Pentacles beside it, that's what I mean. That's a very positive card. That's family, home, comfort, food, everything, shelter, like materially got it made in the shade, right? And that is where some fear of being crushed by this stress and weight and peppermill grinder thing, it's like, oh wait, like my whole family's inside there, right? But it said these aren't your family. The oysters are representative of coins in this tarot deck, but also they are like they're from the ocean, they're from somewhere else, right? Remember the walrus and the carpenter like play the flute to get them out of the sea and whatnot. So they're guests. Oh, that's what it says. It guests. Those are guests. It is the holidays. We are having possibly guests over and things like that. So there is a bit of this. Okay, now I just said holiday stress. Like the holiday stress begins for some of us Sagittarius. Yeah. Under the work stress and the stress of guests, which is a positive thing, but definitely if you're having a lot of guests over, it can just be a lot to deal with. And that's where it is on this left corner. It's very heavy on this left corner. You just got a lot going on, and as much as it's supposed to be pleasant, it feels very heavy and burdensome and grinding at this time. We move on to the Temperance card, which has got the March Hare kind of looking like he's pulling out a piece of pizza from this bag. That's your power energy. Ooh, it just said learning to get by on scraps. And then also just said bottomless pit. Like the bag's a bottomless pit, kind of like Mary Poppins' bag. Like you can pull anything out of the bag and it's there, right? It's kind of how the figure of the March Hare, it's giving it to me at this moment, is kind of survived. It's like you pull things out of a magic bag. Very much a bit of a magician energy there. But then with the Temperance energy, it's about staying balanced, having one foot in one world, one foot in the other, or one foot in, you know, the real world, one foot and not in the real world. Little things like that. It's really important to stay balanced, especially if you're feeling very stressed for holidays and just at work and you got a lot of things going on. With this uncertainty over here, it just said you're always looking, like, we were looking at this, now we're looking in this bag, now we're looking at, you know, like, we're paying attention. It's like you're always looking, and there's some things that you're not seeing the right way, interpreting the right way. Some of these cards do carry a heavier note. Some of them are more positive. This row is more positive. So there's something here where it's like you definitely need to take on some of this balance, because some things are scraps, some things are a bottomless pit and you can just pull it out of the top of your hat or your bag and ta-da, like you're there. Some things are real, some things are not real. That's the general energy here, and like you have to balance all of those little things, because otherwise you'll kind of drive yourself crazy a bit. And with this Queen of Hats over here, this is a Queen of Cups. She's lifting up her skirt, and she's got a cage hoop skirt underneath. And that's where she's kind of like exposing that cage a bit. It's showing her structure. It's showing the cage under the skirt a bit. There is a tinge of sadness coming off of this, of just feeling more caged. It's like really pointing out the bags under her eyes, like she's very tired. And just today, in the way that the cards are, it's like she's standing, it's like, you see how the water just kind of like connects here? It's like she's standing over here with her hat, her cup, like open, ready to receive or give. But I would say receive in this way, because Queen energy is feminine energy, which is always receiving energy. And it's kind of like he's digging through the bag, but he's not looking up at her and not paying attention to her, and not quite either putting things in the hat. And it's like she's very much giving it to me in the silent energy, like waiting patiently. And it just gave me a Dixie Chicks song, which was Ready to Run. Because it just showed like she's picking up her skirt and she's like running away, right? Kind of deal. This figure is not running, but it did say ready, right? It was also pointing out the red roses back here, and it was saying like, who's painting my roses red? And this is a Queen of Hearts, which is a red queen. It is kind of saying that there's a tinge of red queen energy coming off of here. A Queen of Hearts, like if you're talking about a playing card deck, a Queen of Hearts is like the best queen, right? Because she's the Queen of Hearts, of course. Like if we're talking about relationships and love, it's the best queen. The White Queen in Alice in Wonderland is the sweet queen, is the one that is nice. But the Red Queen, who you would normally probably more associate with a Queen of Hearts, is like the inverse, is like the total opposite, right? So that's what I mean. There's convolutions and things happening. This is a Queen of Cups. This is a Queen of Hats. If you look at the image itself, without going into all those deep interpretations. You've got a woman standing here with bags under her eyes. She's wearing all white, which is usually a symbolism of purity and innocence and blah, 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 blah. She's lifting up her skirt, ready to run. She's exposing the cage. There's just a general solemnness and like kind of, it just said empty-handedness as she's standing here. And this guy looks like he's just pulling shit out of his bag. And like, you know, so it's almost like, hey, you can spread some of that magic over here. Hey, you can spread some of that balance over here. She's a queen, so she's standing there and she's silent and she's not really going to say anything. But she's definitely like, I think, contemplating some of this red queen energy, because that's kind of what's going on. It's like the roses have been painted red. We can see, it said the warning signs here of this possible red queen energy. And the red queen cuts off everybody's heads and knows how to make these flamingos behave and become her croquet mallets, which you can whop people with or something like that, right? Like she's the only one that can get these flamingos to straighten themselves out. And that is another message coming off of this right now. The red queen energy coming off of this Queen of Cups is saying like, I'm the only one, the red queen is the only one that can get these flamingos to behave themselves and straighten themselves out and get in order. Alice can't do that. The white queen's too sweet and can't do that. Nobody else can get these flamingos to behave themselves and do their thing. So it's just saying like, there's a duality coming off of this card that's like, it exists for a reason. And it is there, but at this moment, I'm in the white queen energy. So that's part of the message coming off of here. It's just talking about like the anger and emotions and things that can be held back. There is a bit of aloofness coming off of this, but it's also very much about like talking about maintaining your balance overall. There's happiness and things happening with the home, with possibly some other areas of your life, but it is also equally balanced with stress. And there's just this kind of like all over the place mentality. This wolf spirit's wanting you to like steady and calm yourself and turn knowledge into wisdom, the things that you know into wisdom, not more of these like underlying definitions and interpretations. Like they're valid and they're all there, and that was definitely the message. That's how tarot works. But there's so much interference energy, you have to sweep this off of your aura a bit. Remember, right? Sweep that off of your energy a bit, okay? And that's what I got for you. Let me know how that resonates for you guys. I'll catch you on the next reading. Thank you.